What if I told you that for the heirs of old money, confidence isn't some magical personality trait they're born with, but a skill? That it's like a carefully crafted piece of social armor drilled into them from a young age. They aren't just born confident, they're taught to be. It's like they're handed a secret social playbook, a guide designed to make them masters of any room they enter, whether it's a royal gala, a backroom business deal, or just a casual charity lunch. And this playbook has almost nothing to do with their bank balance and everything to do with their poise, the control in their voice, and the quiet power of their presence. So what are the specific unwritten rules these kids often learn before they're 18 that let them navigate the world with such an effortless vibe? What are the subtle lessons that forge a confidence so deep it doesn't need to be announced, it's just felt? In this video, we're prying open that playbook. We're pulling back the curtain on the quiet curriculum of the elite to reveal the skills that create a lifetime of social mastery. These are the ideals that aim to ensure they are not just wealthy, but respected in any circle at any time. Section 1. The Foundation. Why this playbook exists. Before we get into the rules, you have to understand the philosophy behind it all. It isn't just about learning which fork to use to look fancy. It's way deeper. For certain old money families, this social training is one of the most critical assets they can pass down. Some would argue it's even more important than the stocks, the real estate, or the trust funds. Why? Because while a fortune can vanish in a market crash, a solid character and reputation are the currencies that are meant to last for generations. This playbook is basically a manual for managing influence and preserving a family's name. It's built on one core belief. True power is quiet. It doesn't need to shout. The whole point is to raise individuals who are adaptable, respected, and above all, trusted. They're taught to be comfortable in any room because their comfort doesn't come from external validation, like praise or attention, but from an internal sense of control and self-possession. Think of it as reputation insurance. In a world where one public misstep can tarnish a name that's been built for a century, poise under pressure isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a survival skill. These kids are often taught that their behavior is a direct reflection of their family's legacy. A public meltdown, a flash of arrogance, or a moment of disrespect isn't just a personal mistake, it's a crack in the family's foundation. So every skill they learn is designed to reinforce that foundation and make it resistant to gossip or scandal. They're taught that flashiness often signals insecurity, while true refinement signals character. This ideal allows them to blend in anywhere, whether it's a boardroom with titans of industry or a local fundraiser with community volunteers. They don't have to try so hard to fit in because their training gives them the tools to connect with almost anyone on a human level. The goal isn't always to be the most interesting person in the room, but often the most interested, the calmest, and the most gracious. This is the bedrock for all the other rules. It's not about performing wealth, it's about embodying a quiet, unshakable class that money alone can't buy. All right. Let's open the playbook and look at the core principles taught to the heirs of some of the world's quietest fortunes. Rule number 1. Master the art of quiet composure. The first and most fundamental rule is mastering your emotional thermostat. In some elite circles, there's an idea that real money is quiet. This isn't just about not bragging, it's about emotional volume. Someone who loses their cool, who yells in anger or melts into drama when things go wrong, is seen as having lost control of themselves. And in their world, a loss of self-control is a huge social liability. Imagine this. At a fancy restaurant, someone accidentally spills red wine all over a guest's expensive white jacket. The untrained reaction might be a loud gasp, visible anger, or some passive-aggressive comment that makes the clumsy person feel terrible and ruins the vibe for the whole table. The entire evening's energy gets hijacked by this one dramatic moment. The old money ideal, ingrained from childhood, is the total opposite. The person would handle it with immediate, quiet grace. They might flash a reassuring smile and say something like, "Please, don't worry about it at all. It'll come out. Are you all right?" They downplay the incident, shifting the focus away from the mistake and on to making the other person feel okay. The main goal is to restore social harmony, not to assign blame. They fix the problem without the drama, signaling that they're unflappable. This composure is their armor. They learn that reacting emotionally gives power away, to the problem and to the people watching. A calm response, however, keeps the power firmly in their own hands. There's a piece of wisdom that says urgency can read as guilt, and defensiveness can read as weakness. When things go wrong, their training is not to react, but to respond. This quiet composure lets them navigate chaos, turning potential disasters into minor bumps in the road, and ensuring they're always seen as the calmest person in the room. Rule number 2. The currency of presence is more valuable than gold. In an era of constant distraction, the ability to be fully present is maybe one of the rarest and most powerful social skills out there. For these families, teaching presence is a huge deal because it's seen as the ultimate sign of respect. When you give someone your undivided attention, you're telling them, you matter. This moment matters. This training tends to start early. The dinner table is often a phone-free zone. Children are taught to listen without interrupting, to let others finish their thoughts completely before they even start forming a response. It's about truly hearing what someone is saying, not just waiting for your turn to talk. They learn that checking your phone while someone is speaking to you is a profound insult because it silently says that a bunch of strangers on the internet are more important than the person right in front of you. Another small but powerful habit is standing up when an elder or a new guest enters the room. It's a simple physical act of respect that shows a generosity of spirit. It's a nonverbal cue that says, we see you, we welcome you, and we value you being here. Contrast that with what you see in so many social settings today, where conversations are fragmented, eye contact is rare, and everyone is only half present. That fractured attention creates social anxiety and disconnection. The old money approach, however, creates a bubble of focus and respect that makes people feel seen and valued. It allows for genuine connection because they become masters at making the other person feel like the most important individual in the room. This skill costs nothing, but it builds trust and commands respect more effectively than any display of wealth ever could. Rule number 3. Cultivate curiosity, not a resume. In many circles, conversation is a competitive sport. People are constantly dropping names, mentioning their accomplishments, and steering the topic toward their own success. It's the conversational equivalent of a peacock showing off its feathers. To the old money sensibility, this isn't just tacky, it signals a deep insecurity. Their playbook teaches a totally different approach. Confidence whispers, it doesn't need to brag. The rule is to be more interested than interesting. Instead of talking about their latest 5-star vacation, they're encouraged to ask thoughtful questions. They discuss ideas, art, literature, or current events, topics that are about more than just telegraphing status. The focus shifts from possessions to experiences and ideas. While he comes from a self-made background, Warren Buffett is a perfect real-life example of this principle in action. Despite being one of history's wealthiest people, he almost never discusses his own wealth. Instead, he's famously curious, always preferring to talk about business ideas and learn from others. That humility makes him approachable and respected, not feared. Kids from these families are taught that asking someone a thoughtful question about their passions is far more powerful social tool than listing your own wins. It makes the other person feel valued, and it allows you to gather information, which is always a strategic advantage. They learn to steer conversations away from money. If someone asks a nosy question about how much something cost, they're taught to deflect with a simple, "It was a gift," or to gracefully change the subject. Directly discussing prices or salaries is often considered a major faux pas. This approach lets them connect with people from all walks of life. A billionaire who only talks about yachts can only connect with other people who own yachts, but a person who can talk about history, gardening, or philosophy can connect with anyone. This is a key to being comfortable in any room, having a curiosity that transcends class and a confidence so deep it never needs to be proven. Rule number 4. Treat all individuals as dignitaries. Maybe one of the most telling signs of a person's character, and a rule heavily emphasized in the old money playbook, is how they treat people they don't need to impress. They are often meticulously trained to treat service staff, waiters, drivers, assistants with the exact same courtesy they'd show a CEO. And this isn't just about being nice, it's a strategic part of their social code. The thinking is that true class is revealed in how you treat those in positions of service. Being dismissive or demanding toward staff is seen as the ultimate sign of a poor upbringing and insecurity. In a fine dining restaurant, you can often spot the difference instantly. The untrained person might snap their fingers to get a waiter's attention or complain loudly about the service. This behavior, which is meant to assert dominance, actually just broadcasts a lack of social grace. The individual trained in the old money tradition will likely make eye contact with staff, use please and thank you, and maybe even learn the server's name. They understand that these individuals are professionals who hold the keys to a pleasant experience, but more importantly, they recognize their shared humanity. They know that a reputation for kindness travels. The staff in exclusive hotels and clubs are the silent observers of the elite world. Treating them well builds a network of quiet allies. By showing universal politeness, they create an atmosphere of mutual respect wherever they go. This makes them welcome everywhere, from a 5-star hotel to a local coffee shop. People are naturally drawn to those who carry themselves with dignity and extend it to others. This habit becomes a core part of their character, ensuring they never make the amateur mistake of thinking that power is shown by looking down on others. If you're starting to see how this playbook isn't just about manners, but about a powerful strategy for life, then do us a favor and support the channel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every week, we break down the mindsets and strategies of the world's most successful people, giving you tools to build your own legacy of confidence. You won't want to miss what's next. Rule number 5. Build walls, not fences. The power of personal boundaries. In a world that loves to overshare, the concept of privacy has become a real luxury. The old money playbook has always treated it as essential for self-preservation. This rule is about mastering personal boundaries, learning what to share, and more importantly, what to hold back. They're taught to build strong, invisible walls around their private lives, not flimsy fences that anyone can just peer through. The core idea is this: mystery creates curiosity, while oversharing invites judgment. Think about it. The person who tells you their entire life story 5 minutes after meeting you might seem open at first, but they quickly lose their allure. They've given away all their leverage. But the person who is gracious and engaging, yet reveals very little about their personal finances or family drama, becomes magnetic. You want to know more not for gossip, but because their restraint signals depth and self-control. This is a big reason why these families are often notoriously private. Children are taught not to discuss family assets or internal conflicts with outsiders. It's not about being secretive, it's about understanding that broadcasting that information can lead to envy, exploitation, or just getting misinterpreted. This rule also extends to how they handle conflict. They tend to avoid over-familiarity and getting too personal too quickly. They understand that trust is built slowly. They also instinctively avoid gossip. Participating in gossip is seen as a low-status activity that cheapens your character and signals you can't be trusted. By maintaining these strong personal boundaries, they control their own narrative. They become known for their character and actions, not for a messy divorce or their latest extravagant purchase. This discipline is a key reason they can move through any social setting with confidence. They aren't worried about what others know about them because they've carefully managed what information is out there. Their life isn't an open book, it's more like a well-guarded classic that people respect but can only access by invitation. Rule number 6. Your word is your bond, the vault of discretion. Building on the idea of boundaries is an equally critical rule. Become a vault of discretion. In the high-stakes world of big business deals and complex family dynamics, trust is the single most valuable commodity. Being known as someone who can keep a secret isn't just a virtue, it's a form of power. From a young age, kids are often taught that private conversations are just that, private. What's said at the dinner table stays there. They learn that gossip is the currency of the socially insecure. It gives you a temporary sense of importance by trafficking in information that isn't yours. But in the long run, it just brands you as untrustworthy. The person who can be trusted with sensitive information, however, becomes indispensable. People seek them out for their counsel. They become keepers of secrets, which gives them a uniquely powerful perspective on the inner workings of their circle. This reputation for discretion opens doors that money never could. Let's say you're at a private event and overhear two people discussing a sensitive business merger. The untrained person might see this as juicy gossip to share, a way to signal they're in the know. They might immediately text a friend, "You'll never guess what I just heard." The person trained in the old money playbook would do the exact opposite. They'd file the information away and pretend they heard nothing. They understand that repeating it would be a huge violation of trust that would instantly mark them as an outsider. Their silence in that moment is a long-term investment in their social capital. By demonstrating discretion, they're entrusted with more information, and their value within their network grows. Rule number 7. The first move is always an introduction. This rule seems so simple, but it's one of the most effective tools for social mastery in the playbook. At any social gathering, the old money heir is often taught that their first job is to make sure everyone feels included. The fastest way to do that is by mastering the art of the introduction. Most people wait to be introduced or just stick with the people they already know. This creates awkwardness for anyone on the outside. The trained individual sees this as their cue. They don't just say, "Hey, this is Mike." They follow a specific strategic formula, while not exclusive to them, is classic high-level etiquette. The formal rule is to introduce the person of lesser social importance to the person of greater importance. For example, "Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Jane Smith." But the real art is what comes next. You immediately provide a hook, a piece of context that gives them something to talk about. Instead, might say, "Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce Jane Smith. Jane just finished a fascinating project on renewable energy in emerging markets, a topic I know you're very passionate about." In one sentence, you've shown respect, made the intro, sparked a conversation, and saved everyone from that awkward silence. By proactively making these connections, you position yourself as the social anchor of the group. You're no longer just a guest, you're the facilitator. It's a subtle but profound power move that shows confidence and generosity. This is a simple habit that ensures they aren't just comfortable in any room, but are actively creating the comfort of the room itself. Rule number 8. Wield deflection as your shield. In a world that can be blunt, nosy, or just plain rude, the old money playbook teaches a more elegant form of defense, the art of deflection. It's like social judo, using someone else's momentum against them without launching a direct attack. It's a shield used to fend off gossip, insults, and probing questions. The core principle is never to get defensive, because defensiveness often signals guilt or a loss of control. If someone makes an unkind remark, the instinct is often to fight back and say, "That's not true." The old money approach is to deflect with a calm, practiced phrase. For example, if someone says something insulting, a quiet response like, "I'm sure you didn't mean for that to sound the way it did," never escalates things. It subtly reframes their comment as a clumsy mistake, letting them back down gracefully while making it clear their jab didn't land. When it comes to gossip, they are masters of the elegant dismissal. If someone brings up a scandal about a mutual acquaintance, instead of engaging, they might just say, "Yes, I've always found them to be a terribly fascinating person," and then immediately change the subject. The phrase is beautifully ambiguous. It acknowledges the comment without validating the gossip, and it shuts down the conversation without being rude. This skill is also used to protect their privacy. If asked a nosy question about money, they don't snap, "That's none of your business." It's too confrontational. Instead, they might deflect with a bit of humor, or simply answer a different question than the one that was asked. They pivot and redirect, controlling the flow of information without ever creating a hostile moment. This allows them to remain poised and in control, even when under attack. Rule number 9, the modern armor, digital dignity. While many of these rules are timeless, they've been adapted for the 21st century. One of the most important new chapters is digital dignity. Old money families often understand that the internet is forever, and a digital misstep can cause more lasting damage than almost any real-world blunder. The first rule of digital dignity is to never post in anger. In a world of reactive tweets and emotional rants, they're taught to step away from the keyboard. An angry post is a momentary loss of control with permanent consequences. The second rule is to avoid explaining or defending your life choices online. They operate on the principle that consistent action is the only defense that matters. Public explanations can look defensive and just invite more debate. Third, they tend to practice understated presence. While not universal, you will rarely find the heirs of the most established families posting the interiors of their jets or their most lavish purchases. It's understood that such displays are not only a security risk, but are also considered vulgar. Their social media, if it exists, is often private and focused on hobbies, art, or philanthropy. Privacy itself has become the ultimate status symbol. Finally, they embrace a timeless gesture, the handwritten thank you note. In a world of fleeting emails and texts, taking the time to write a thoughtful note on quality stationery is a power move. It signals thoughtfulness, detail, and genuine appreciation. It's a simple act that secures and strengthens relationships. Rule number 10. Embrace understated excellence. The final rule we'll discuss pretty much sums up the entire old money mindset, the principle of understated excellence. This is the conscious choice of quality over quantity, subtlety over flashiness, and permanence over trends. It's not about hiding wealth, it's about being so secure in it that you don't need to advertise it. The new money stereotype often involves collecting visible status symbols, the flashiest car, the diamond-covered watch, the handbag with the huge logo. This behavior is often driven by a need for the world to see and acknowledge one's success. The old money approach is the opposite. They tend to prioritize timeless quality over fleeting trends. For clothes, this means investing in well-tailored pieces from high-quality fabrics. They might wear a blazer that's a decade old but fits perfectly, rather than this season's it jacket. The value is in the craftsmanship, not the logo. In fact, visible logos are often seen as tacky, like you're paying a brand to be their walking billboard. This philosophy extends to other things. It's a bit of a cliché, but it illustrates the point. They're more likely to be seen driving a high-quality but unassuming car, like a well-kept Volvo or Lexus for daily errands, rather than a flashy supercar. Their homes are often filled with quality furniture and meaningful art, maybe family heirlooms, not just mass-produced trendy decor. The goal is to buy less but choose well. This has a powerful social effect. It makes them more approachable. Someone who isn't dripping in logos doesn't immediately create a barrier of envy or intimidation. It lets their character and conversation be the first thing people notice, not their stuff. This quiet confidence is the final piece of the playbook, reinforcing the idea that true class isn't about what you have, but how you carry yourself. So, we've opened the secret social playbook. We've seen that the ability of old money heirs to feel comfortable in any room has very little to do with the money itself. It's the product of deliberate training in a set of timeless social skills. From the quiet composure that turns chaos into calm, to the power of presence that makes others feel seen. From the genuine curiosity that builds bridges, to the universal respect that makes them welcome anywhere. From the strong boundaries that guard their privacy, to the proactive art of an introduction and the understated excellence that speaks volumes without saying a word. These rules all together form an internal architecture of character. They create individuals who are defined not by their wealth, but by their poise and integrity. They're taught that your credentials might get you in the door, but it's your character that lets you stay in the room. This is their real inheritance, a blueprint for navigating the world with a confidence that comes from within. But the most powerful thing about this playbook is that it isn't locked away in a vault. Every single one of these rules is a learnable skill. They are mindsets and behaviors that anyone from any background can choose to adopt to build their own unshakable confidence. It's not about where you came from, it's about the standards you decide to live by. The only real question is, which of these rules will you start using today? If this video opened your eyes to a new way of thinking about confidence, don't let the learning stop here. Check out our next video on the 7 subtle signs of true intelligence on our channel. And for more deep dives into the psychology of success, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching.